Hello and welcome back to Middle Age Moto. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm out for a Saturday drive. It's kind of nice out today. I'm actually in my mesh jacket. It was 30 degrees this morning and it's warmed up nicely. I spent the morning, it's about 1:30 Central Time. I spent the morning replacing my rear spring. I finally got a new spring. I ordered a spring from Slavin Racing in Colorado, I want to say. Great people to work with, fast shipping. They have a ton of stuff in stock. They sell for different brands. They are running low on their orange or KTM shocks, so they're the majority of this, but they, you know, for my fat ass, they had a shock in stock. Oh, this is great. This is so much better than it was. Oh my god. All right. So these bikes, and I'm going to do round numbers because I don't drive around with notes. The spring rate is set for like a max weight of about 180 pounds. Okay, I'm 250 pounds, and I'm 5'9" and a half. And the reason I give my height is because the seat height with the bike just sitting, you know, the regular sag, the static sag, I should say, is just a little over 37 inches, so it's pretty big. But your sag should be just about 4 inches, a rider sag. So in order to get the proper sag in the bike, I had to crank down the spring, compress the spring way down. So what that did was it made it ride super rough, and it took a whole, you know, a bunch of the, you know, the room in the, you know, it compressed the shocks or the spring, so it really made it rough. So what I needed to do was loosen up as much as I could the valving settings in the rear shock. And it's got fast rebound, slow rebound, and I believe dampening. So I loosened them way up, and basically what that did was it made it ride a little smoother, but the rear shock was pretty much worthless. I mean, it was loose, but yet the spring was so damn tight. I could feel my backbone getting, you know, my butt bones getting smashed every time I hit a bump. And the wheel would bounce off the ground so much that it would make the bike, you know, a little uncontrollable. Now, not owning one of these bikes before, I didn't know what to expect, you know, so I did it right when I got the bike. So I knew that you're really supposed to spring it, and you really should spring the front and the rear. I called Slavin, and they kind of busted my butt a little bit. And they said, listen, if you want the whole package, you need to do the whole package, buy the whole package. I don't know about messing with the front. I've never done it. The rear shock is, or the rear spring is super easy. You don't even have to pull the shock out of the bike. You're going to disconnect the shock from the knuckle, and then you disconnect your linkage. So it's 2 bolts. There's a good video, and I'll try to remember to attach it in my, you know, down in my bio, of a guy that does one on his wife's bike. And now he's going to a lighter spring because it's too heavy because she's lighter, but it's a 2-stroke, but it's the same exact shock, and he does it really super easy. So you take those 2 bolts out, and meanwhile you're lifted up. Now the biggest amount of time for the whole process was taking all that compression, or all that loosening the spring up, let's say, you know, cranking that back, winding that back, because I've got a tool, but the tool is kind of it works, but it doesn't work, you know. It's a real pain in the ass. It's real tight, and it's a plastic adjustment ring, so you beating it with a hammer and a screwdriver like we did back in the day is a real cluster. I mean, you're going to just destroy it. Now, I was going to get, when they sell them, the automatic ones, or not automatic, but they sell them that it's got a gearing in it, and you can basically just use a wrench and then adjust your compression or your sag and all that kind of stuff. I've drawn a total blank on what the actual words are, and I apologize, but I'm trying to concentrate on riding too. With the biggest amount of time was you know, I had that thing cranked down. It had to be, I don't know, several inches. It was like this much of thread sticking out. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. So the biggest amount of time was these little tiny turns. You get a little tiny, not even a quarter turn each time. It was cranking that thing all the way up. So what you do is you loosen it all the way to the top, and then you've got your bolts out and your shock's hanging there. It would help to have another person there to kind of lift the rear wheel up when you're putting it back together, but I just did it with I stuck my 2 toes underneath the tire and kind of jacked, just hoisted the tire up in the air with my feet and was able to get the bolts in. It didn't take me long at all. But so there's a C-clip in there. So what you have is you've got a washer that meets up to the actual spring. You've got a bottom plate that's thicker, and what you need to do is you loosen the shock up to where you don't need a spring compressor or anything. The spring's loose. It'll slide up and down in there. So you move the spring up in the air, or the whole, the bottom plate and that washer, you push them up and it'll expose the C-clip. You can probably get it with a screwdriver. I've got a C-clip remover, so I just popped it in there, boom, popped the clip out, and the spring slid right out the bottom. If you just reverse that, take your new spring, slide it up in there. Now this is a little harder because you're holding the weight of the spring while you're trying to get the C-clip in, but it really wasn't a major deal. You push it up, you put your washer, you put your bottom plate in, you push it up in the air, and there's a notch, and you basically clip your C-clip back in, and then you got to go back through that arduous, the time taker of cranking back down and getting your, the compression put back on your shock, because the spring will just flop around in there. And I've got I'll show you what it is for my sag. I've got I don't have an electronic sag tester, and I'm by myself most of the time when I'm working on this, so I got the sag tester that's on the screen. Works great. I love it. You basically hook it to your swing arm. There's a spot marked on the rear fender, or the rear the rear fender, and you basically adjust it up and you're good to go. You can either crank down on the spring, loosen up on the spring. Oh, now I'm almost at the top, and now I am going to work on adjusting the valving in the spring now, because it feels a little bit on the looser side. Because of course I didn't do anything and it was loose. So we're gonna go home and we'll mess with that. Now I am going to eventually do the front shocks, or the front forks, and redo the springs in that. I haven't decided if I'm going to tackle it myself and rip take the forks off and do all that. I'm losing some power. I'm not sure what's going on here. We got to check my fuel filters. Yeah, it just feels I don't know. I just need to blow it out. I've been riding pretty mellow. So going back together is super simple. It's pretty much reverse the process. If you have someone to help you, it would definitely help, or you can actually use a ratchet strap on your rear wheel over your rear fender, and then that way you can kind of crank up, because you do need to pick the tire up to get the bolt lined up. It's not something, and what I did was I lifted the tire in the air to get it close and put a little box under it that the spring came in, and it was actually like right where it needed to be almost. It's like they thought of it. Now I am sitting more tippy-toed than I was before. It's of course not sagging as much. Even with the spring crank down, I still had trouble keeping it at 4 inches sag. I think I was getting 5 or 6. But I just wanted to, let you know. I'll try to remember to put that damn video in there. If not, just look up Husqvarna spring replacement, I believe it is, and you'll see the guy on it. It's a short video, short and sweet. He has someone helping him, but I mean, it's a short video. It takes him no time at all. He just zaps right through it. So, all right. Well, I appreciate your time. I will talk to you on the next video. Thank you.